Alright, so in this video here we're going to look at sum and difference formulas for sine, cosine, and tangent. And what we're going to do is we're going to be given the information over here on this side, and we're going to try to find this: sine A plus B, cosine A plus B, and tangent A plus B. It's a little bit different than the other videos I did on the sum and difference formulas. And on the other sum and difference formulas, we were given like the sine of 75 degrees, and we had to evaluate it, find the exact value. So these problems are a little bit different, and I've got about 4 or 5 examples I want to work, and I'm going to do one problem per video because these problems they're kind of long. So some of them can be pretty long, take a little time to work. So I'm going to do one per video, and you might want to check them all out because they're all a little bit different. Okay, I'm trying to cover everything that you may come across in all the videos that I'm going to do on this. All right. So here's our sum and difference formulas. I'm not going to read them to you, but you've got to remember these, and you'll have to apply these formulas in order to work the problems. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first example. We have, if sine A is 3/5, with angle A is in the first quadrant, quadrant 1, and cosine B is equal to -5/13, where angle B is in quadrant 3, they want us to find sine A plus B, cosine A plus B, and tangent A plus B. Alright, so let's just take them one at a time. Okay, so let's just find sine A plus B first. Alright, so let's go ahead and write down our formula for sine A plus B. So sine of A plus B is equal to sine A cosine B plus cosine A sine B. Alright, now let's look and see what we have. Alright, well, they give me sine A and they give me cosine B. Okay, I have those values. See, I can plug 3/5 in for sine A, and I can plug in -5/13 for cosine B. So I have to figure out what cosine A and sine B are. Now there's a couple of ways that you can do this. Of course, you can draw a triangle, like for cosine A. I'm not going to find it like this, but I'm going to just show you. Alright, so you can draw your triangle, and remember, sine A is what? Y/R. So that would be 3, that would be 5, and then you would just need to find that value right there, which in this case it would be 4. Okay, the other way, and then you would know what cosine A is. Cosine A would be what? 4/5. Okay, and yeah, that's pretty easy to do. So I'm going to show you a different way to do it. Well, we have sine A. Okay, we're looking for cosine A, and they give us sine A. Well, we know that sine squared A plus cosine squared A is equal to 1. Okay. Alright, so if we plug the 3/5 in for sine A, that's going to give us 3/5, and that's squared. Remember, 3/5 is just sine A, and that's squared, so we have to square the 3/5, plus cosine squared A is equal to 1. And so this is going to be 9/25 plus cosine squared A equals 1. And then if we subtract 9/25 to both sides, we get cosine squared A and then 1 minus 9 over 25 would be 16 over 25. I'm not going to go over the arithmetic. And so now I square root both sides, so I get cosine A is equal to 4/5, or cosine A is equal to negative 4/5. You have to make sure you do the plus or minus because you're using the square root property. Remember that from algebra? Alright, so how do we know which one to choose? Well, they tell us that A is in the first quadrant. Well, A is in the first quadrant. What is cosine in the first quadrant? Remember, all students take calculus. We're in the first quadrant. All the trig functions are positive in the first quadrant. So we know cosine A is not the negative, it's the positive one. Okay? Alright. So now you can see here I now have cosine A. Now I need to figure out what sine B is. And I'm going to do it the same way I did this. Okay? So I have sine squared B plus cosine squared B is equal to 1. Well, I know what cosine B is, so I can plug that into here. So that gives me sine squared B plus negative 5 over 13 squared equals 1. Okay, so I just plug the negative 5 over 13 in for cosine, and then it's squared. Alright, so I get sine squared B is equal, not equal, getting ahead of myself, sine squared B plus 25 over 169 equals 1. And then if I subtract 25 over 169 to both sides, I get sine squared B equals 144 over 169. Alright, and let me just show you real quick. See, if I'm subtracting 25 over 169 to both sides, here I look at that as being over 1, so I get a common denominator of 169, and so that means this will be 169, and 169 minus 25 gives me the 144. Okay, alright, so now I have sine B is equal to, and I'm using my square root property, 12 over 13, or sine B equals negative 12 over 13. Alright, so let's look at which one do we use. Well, B is in the third quadrant, and remember this, all students take calculus. We're in the third quadrant. See, B is in the third quadrant. The only ones that are positive in the third quadrant is tangent and cotangent. So sine is negative in the third quadrant. So we're not using this one. We're just going to use this one. Okay. Alright. So now we have sine B. So now I have my values for sine A, cosine B, cosine A, and sine B. Okay, and now all I do is I just plug all of those into here, and I have my answer. Alright, so let's come down here and do that. Let me pull this down just a little bit so we can see the formula. Alright, so I have cosine, not cosine, I have sine of A plus B is equal to sine A, and what was sine A? Sine A is 3/5, so that's going to be 3/5 times cosine B. Well, what's cosine B? Cosine B is negative 5 over 13. So that's times negative 5 over 13, okay, plus cosine A. Well, let me pull this down just a little bit. All right. So cosine A, well, what's cosine A? It's 4/5 times sine B. And what's sine B? It's negative 12 over 13. And so this is going to give me, well, when I multiply this, I get negative 15 over 65. And then this is going to be minus 48 over 65. And so I'm going to get negative 63 over 65. Okay, and that's my answer for sine A plus B. All right, so the next one they wanted me to find was cosine A plus B. And what I'm going to do, this sine A cosine B and the cosine A sine B, I'm going to go ahead and write these values down here because I'll have to use those in this next formula. So sine A is 3/5. Cosine B is negative 5 over 13. And then I have cosine A is 4/5. And sine B is negative 12 over 13. Alright, so I just wrote down what everything is. Alright, so let's go ahead and write our formula down. So we have cosine A plus B. This is the next one they wanted me to find. Alright, so cosine A plus B is cosine A cosine B minus sine A sine B. Alright, so now all of these values here I just plug into my formula. So I get cosine A, which is 4/5, times cosine B, and cosine B is negative 5 over 13, minus sine A, which is 3/5, times sine B, which is negative 12 over 13. Okay. Alright, so this is going to be what? Negative 20 over 65 when I multiply that, and then a minus and a minus, that's going to be plus 36 over 65, and so that's going to leave me with 16 over 65 is my final answer. Alright, now the last one that they wanted us to find is tangent A plus B. Alright, so tangent A plus B, yes, we have a formula for that. Okay, tangent of A plus B, okay, we have this formula right here. Okay, we have that formula there. But look at this. We don't need that formula here. Look what we have. We have sine A plus B, and we have cosine A plus B. And we know that tangent is simply sine over cosine. Alright, so sine A plus B is negative 63 over 65, and cosine A plus B is 16 over 65. And this is equal to negative 63 over 65 times, okay, so look at this. This is negative 63 over 65 divided by, see, there's division, divided by 16 over 65. And how do we divide fractions? Well, it's this, the negative 63 over 65, times the reciprocal of this. So times, let me change the colors there, times 65 over 16. And so you can see the 65's cancel, and I'm left with negative 63 over 16. And there's my answer for tangent A plus B. Alright, so I hope this video's helped. I hope you'll check out my other videos. And like I said, I'm doing some more videos like similar to this. They're going to be a little bit different. And like I said, I'm trying to cover everything that you might come across. Okay, so hope you'll check those out too. And if you like the videos, you can subscribe. All right, thanks.